The question I'd like to ask you today is, do you feel that a storm is brewing in your life? Have you recently gone through some very difficult times? The longer the thread of contacting the virus, the more danger there is that some difficulty lies in front of your path, and how can you deal with it? Do you feel that you can take no more? So often even Jesus became weary at times. How did he deal with the pressures and trials that came before him daily? That answer may help you through anything you are going or will be going through in your daily life. The story goes this way. It had been an eventful day in the life of Jesus as he taught by the Sea of Galilee. All day he had been teaching and healing. As darkness was settling in, the crowd still pressed around him. For several days, Jesus had been ministering, seldom stopping for food or rest. So to make matters worse, he was constantly being harassed and criticized by the religious leaders. Now, at the end of the day, we find Jesus utterly weary and longing for a place to rest. Jesus asked his disciples to take him across the lake to the eastern shore, which was somewhat desolate and uninhabited and would provide a place for rest. After he dismissed the crowd, they got into a boat and hastily set out to cross the lake. The evening had been calm, pleasant, and a quietness rested upon the lake. The sun had set, and the blackness of the night began settling around their little boat. Suddenly, the wind swept wildly down the mountain gorges, and a fierce storm burst upon the lake. The waves lashed into fury by the howling winds, and the waves began to engulf the boat. The disciples were not concerned at first, because some were seasoned fishermen, and they've spent many a stormy night on the lake. But then the storm became so furious that their strength and expertise was to no avail. They were helpless due to the strength of the storm, and they began to experience their boat taking on water. At this point, it looked like it was the end for all of them. Absorbed in their efforts to save themselves, they had forgotten that Jesus was in the boat. In their helplessness and despair, they realized that the one who had been able to heal the sick and comfort those who mourned was right there in the boat with them. They called out, "Master, Master!" But the dense darkness hid Jesus from their sight. The wind was so loud that it drowned out their words, and there was no reply. Suddenly, a flash of lightning pierced the darkness, and they saw Jesus sound asleep in the stern of the boat. Finally, they shook Jesus awake and said, "Master, Master, don't you care what's happening to us? How could you sleep through all this storm?" Jesus stood up, steadied himself in the boat. He lifted his hands as he often did when doing the deeds of mercy, and said to the angry sea, "Peace, be still." The clouds rolled away, the stars began to shine, and the waves stopped their roaring, and the sea became quiet and peaceful. It was calm as if nothing had happened. Jesus turned to his disciples and said, "Where is your faith? Don't you trust God?" A hush fell upon them, and even Peter did not attempt to express the feelings that filled his heart. They were afraid, and they whispered to each other, "Is he human? This is incredible. He tells the wind and the waves to stop, and they listen to him." Friends, how often the disciples' experience is like ours, with the troubles, uncertainties, disappointments, pressures, confusions, and the stress that surrounds us from day to day, we often forget that there's someone that can help us. It is easy to trust in our own strength until it seems all is lost, just like the disciples in the boat. They felt that they had the experience to handle the storm, and they did not call out to the one who was able to help them until it appeared that all was lost. Even though Jesus had to reprove them for their unbelief, when they called out to him, he met their needs. Jesus never fails to give us the help we need wherever we are or what situation we find ourselves in. If we place ourselves in God's hands, the sea of life will be much smoother, and he will deliver us from dangers in the way that he knows is best for us. There's another spiritual lesson we can learn from this miracle of calming the storm, and it's found in the Bible. It reads, "The wicked who stubbornly continue their sins are like the angry sea which never rests, whose waves bring in nothing but filth and muck. There is no lasting peace, no rest of the spirit for those who do wickedly." While self is unsubdued, you cannot find peace or rest. We have to remember we have an enemy who relentlessly stirs up the passions of our hearts, and no human power can control them. We then become as helpless as the disciples to quiet the raging storm. But if you focus on Jesus, he is able to quiet any storm that's going on in your life today. Anyone who turns to Jesus and cries out, "Lord, Lord, save me," will find the peace and joy only he can offer in your time of trouble. He makes the raging storm in your life to become calm. Won't you place your troubles into the hands of the one who could say during your storm, "Peace, peace, be still"? Jesus says, "Come to me, you who are tired and worried, and I will give you rest." Oh, friends, remember, Jesus loves you.